Here it comes from the famous Koenig Wheel Studios. It's The Hype Is Right.
And let's bring out the cars for today.
Hey guys, this is Jack Davis, Formula Drift Pro Spec driver, and today we are on The Hype Is Right. We're going to be talking about a few cars that you may or may not like, so let's get started.
What's going on, guys? I'm Caleb Quanbeck, and behind me is my E36 drift car. Today with Koenig, we are going to talk about a few different chassis.
Hey guys, I'm Dave.
And I'm Peter.
And we are Speed Academy, and this is The Hype Is Right!
So the Nissan 370Z.
The 370Z.
The 370Z. Is the hype right on that PT? Is it too high? Is it too low?
I think it's right in the middle.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't love it.
It's a super popular car. A lot of guys are running it now, but in my opinion, I think it's overhyped right now.
I think is a good starter car if you were going to dive into drifting. I think they're still pretty affordable, and there's a ton of aftermarket support for that chassis. But in my personal opinion, I think they're ugly. Super ugly, like the ugliest drift car that you could get.
Boom, roasted.
Sorry, Scott, the president of Koenig has a 350Z that he loves, and I might not be sponsored after this video, but I think they're ugly, and they make no grip.
I think it's a a car that has a niche following.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really like perform over expectations.
Fair.
You know what I mean? It still is a VQ. It is essentially the old gen Nissan, just facelifted.
Yeah.
Bit, a little better motor and all that jazz. So I'd say, yeah,
The
it's
hype is just right on it?
just
It's
right
not
on it.
underhyped, it's
Just
not
right.
overhyped?
Just right.
The suspension's hard to work on. I'm not a fan of them. They take forever to align if you're running a big fancy angle kit. But I think as popular as they got, they're probably a little overhyped right now. They're definitely good cars, 300 horsepower rear-wheel drive manual, great car, the 370 and the 350. But I think right now they are definitely overhyped.
And that's pretty much it. That's my personal opinion. But good starter car, not much else to say about that chassis. I'm sorry, guys. Can't do it. But I will move on to the best chassis, which is the BMW E36.
And now for the BMW E36 chassis.
The BMW E36.
Best chassis, hands down. They're getting hard to find, especially the M3s. They're getting expensive.
And if you guys know me or follow me, it's obviously the best chassis ever. All right, superior chassis.
I'd say it's just right.
Okay.
Maybe just like a little bit underhyped.
Okay.
And I think it's still growing tremendously. That platform, I think, has kind of like hit its stride right now.
I think it's just right. However, it's kind of leaning towards overhyped, just with how popular they've been getting recently.
But I spent close to a year working with Chelsea Denofa at the School of Drift in Oregon, teaching people how to drift and turning hundreds of laps in those cars, and I love them. That's what inspired me to build the E46 right here.
Tons of potential for engine swaps. Great chassis to go drifting in, do any type of motorsport in. Great street car. They are kind of showing their age. Things inside, the interior is starting to fall apart on them, but I think they still have a little bit of room to go in terms of the hype factor.
Great car. They are a little bit more expensive. They look pretty good without a body kit or anything. They almost look worse with a body kit, I think. The results in that chassis is on a competitive side, on a grassroots side, it's just proven to be it's phenomenal. Great car. I love them very much. And the E46 kind of follows that same suit.
But the E36 with the rear trailing arm suspension is super simple. The car is just easy to work on, it's easy to maintain, and it's cheap to work on. That's one of the main reasons I chose the E36 personally. Again, I am biased with this, but I think the E36 is just right, but kind of starting to lean towards overhyped. But E36, superior chassis.
C6 Corvette.
Chevrolet Corvette C6 in particular.
The next chassis is the C6. Great car. I love the way they look. I'm big on American cars. I'm big on V8s. This car's got a V8 behind me. And this is one of those chassis that could be a good starter car if you save your money just a little bit longer.
I think it's just right. Comes with the LS engine, super strong, super reliable, easy to work on.
Which is a car that strangely I have a real soft spot for because my dad owns one, and I've actually done a lot of track time in his car, but also in like Z06 variants of it, like at the Bondurant school. And I gotta say, that thing is definitely underhyped 5 years ago, but I feel like that's really changed in the last 5 years to the point that it's certainly on point, if not maybe even a little overhyped, because I have a hard time accepting the prices of those cars now.
Yeah.
They used to be such a great value, but now the Z06s especially have gotten quite expensive.
The cars themselves are super good for pretty much all types of motorsports, drag racing, drifting, road racing, time attack, autocross, whatever the case may be.
The C6 is just a great looking car. There's companies that are doing wide bodies for them. I'm not a huge fan of the transaxle. I know that some people say that's like the best part about it for weight and stuff, but dealing with the torque tube and working on them, I hear it can be a pain. I've never worked on one myself, but I've heard that they are tough to work on. So
Yes.
But man, what a performance machine. I mean, obviously it's got that LS motor in it. You can fit a ton of wheel and tire on it. There's tons of aftermarket for it. Obviously there's lots of YouTubers that have proven how capable they are. Plus there's guys like Ferris Toomey who's going around the world setting time attack records in his. So
That's true.
Man, what a machine. But I gotta say, underhyped 5 years ago, but now I'm just gonna say the hype is right on those.
I think the Chevrolet Corvette C6 is just right. And I think it's a car that's gonna live on for many, many years. Chevy did a really good job with that. Engine, combo, fiberglass body. I mean, it's just a good car. The C6 Corvette is just right.
all right, and the last chassis we're going to talk about is the Toyota GR Corolla.
Okay, the Toyota GR Corolla. Personally, I think this car is just right.
Okay, next on the hit list is the GR Corolla. It's a car that we obviously have a soft spot for since we bought one. We bought a GR Corolla Morizo edition, the rarest edition of them all. And I will say that the hype is too low on that car.
Agreed.
I feel like it's way better than I expected it to be.
If anything, underhyped. I really like the car. We've had the chance to see a couple of them from Toyota when they first came out at Formula Drift. I think the cars are super sick. Just the whole theory of the car is awesome to me. I think they look really cool.
And it is a great looking car. Good dad mobile. As a dad myself, it's a good dad mobile. And then on the flip side, you've got Ryan Turk, who drives one in Formula Drift. I'm good friends with his crew chief, Brian, and we've talked about that chassis, and he's explained to me the ins and outs of it, and they're very confident that it's one of the best chassis for drifting. So, you know, you could spend a couple $100,000 and build a pro level drift car out of it, or you can use it to take your kids to school.
Especially at the racetrack. That Morizo edition around the track is an absolute magical machine. It's kind of like their GT3 version, I think, of that car. But even in, say, core trim, which I also tried at that track out in Vancouver Island, it was really great on track and is a really enjoyable street car. I mean, it's the only thing left that's like an all-wheel drive Japanese hot hatch slash, you know, rally inspired type of car. The Evo's gone, the SDI's gone, and I feel like the media kind of underhyped how capable that car is, because it really blew our mind when we took possession of ours and really got to get to know it well. So underhyped on the GR Corolla.
From what I know and what I've seen, I think it's a great car. I think it looks awesome. I'd love to have one, but I think it's just right. If anything, maybe a little bit underhyped, but I would say just right. I'm excited to see what happens with that car, what Toyota does with it, and where it goes from here.